Well, thanks everybody for joining us today on a very important topic for the technology industry, workforce and apprenticeship pathways into tech jobs in a time where we know we have such a deficit in our workforce. As Adrian mentioned, I'm Kim Christ. I'm the director of SE Tech and CyberSec SC. We are an initiative of the South Carolina Council on Competitiveness, which is a business-led nonprofit supporting business clusters around the state. SE Tech focuses on advancing the technology economy. We bring together all the players in the state, including education, government, support organizations, and of course, industry, to come up with solutions and support and growth strategies for the technology sector of South Carolina. We've had a very busy year. We released our first ever South Carolina Tech Economic Impact Study, which showed an $89 billion impact, which is quite sizable. We also released our GIS-enabled technology asset heat map, which shows our technology assets, industry and education in the state. We have started identifying our pathways into technology jobs through our pathway mapping, which will be expanded this year to include our top jobs within the technology industry and examples and representation of what those jobs look like. So we're really excited about that. And then last, we are also working on our SC Tech strategic plan for the state, where we will be working in communities across the state to hear actual feedback from our actual tech companies to ensure we have representation across the state from companies small and large alike. If you're interested in becoming an SC Tech partner or providing feedback for any of the things I mentioned, I love to hear from you. So, as Adrian mentioned, this is the third of our three-part webinar series on workforce and technology. Workforce is an evergreen topic for technology, and we're really excited to get moving and introduce you to our panel today. So first up, we have Kaity Miller, who is the program director for SE Codes and Develop Carolina. They're two nonprofits under the umbrella of Build Carolina, and they are designed to provide access and opportunity to South Carolina residents to pursue careers in technology while also supporting our technology companies as they search for talent. Kaity's been involved in non-traditional tech education since 2015, and she is dedicated to lowering barriers into technology careers, but also creating generational change and opportunities for all citizens in South Carolina. Thanks for being here, Kaity. Kirsten Pratt is the Youth and Community Apprenticeship Consultant at Apprenticeship Carolina, which is connected to the South Carolina Technical College system. She helps grow youth and adult apprenticeships in the Midlands, Orangeburg, and Denmark service areas of South Carolina. She also partners with community-based organizations around the state. In her role, she educates community agencies about registered apprenticeships, local tech college connections, and other workforce resources. And a big congratulations to Kirsten today, as her first day is Associate Vice President at Apprenticeship Carolina. Rodney is here with us today. Rodney Macleod is a 20-year Air Force veteran. He's worked as a civil service employee for 2.5 years and as a contractor for the U.S. government for 12.5 years. And is also a business owner at McLeod Information Systems in Charleston, where he has been for the past 5 years. He's had numerous roles in the IT industry and so many certifications and trainings that I can't even list all of them, but notably is gone through the Senior NCO Academy and has numerous CISSP certifications and cybersecurity as well. He is a member of IS2, and he founded the ISC2 chapter in Charleston. He serves on the SC Tech Education Committee and is a member of the Cooper River Center for Advanced Studies and Technical Committee. McLeod Information Systems is the first company in South Carolina to have a Department of Labor registered cybersecurity apprenticeship program, which is now 3 years old. Thanks for being here, Rodney. And then Stanfield Gray is also joining us. He is the Managing Director for Create Opportunity, where he leads the program development and expansion. He's an innovator who has dedicated his professional life to supporting equitable opportunities. He's excited to make an impact in the lives of program participants and to help economic development by creating an ever-growing pipeline of tech talent. Named one of Time Magazine's 31 People Changing the South, Gray is a Liberty Fellow, an Aspen Global Leadership Network, and a consultant on the startup ecosystem development. He's the CEO and founder of Dig South Tech Media and Dig South Tech Summit, and he holds a BA from the University of South Carolina Honors College and an MA from the University of Mississippi. Thanks for being here, Stan.
Thanks, Kim.
So we're going to move right on along because this hour goes very fast and we have a lot to talk about. So I'm going to start with Kaity. And if you could, Kaity, just give us a quick overview of what you are working on with SE Codes and Develop Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kim. So as we've kind of already established, everybody knows that there is this critical need for tech talent here in South Carolina. And unfortunately, there are not enough of opportunities for us to keep up. And so what we have built, so SE Codes is our free education side of things. So it helps folks who have maybe no background in coding or just like a little bit of background in software development, helps them gain the skills that they need in order to enter into the tech workforce. But what we're really, really excited about, which is our brand new pilot program, Develop Carolina, is actually a 6-month fellowship program, the first one of its kind that is specifically for software development talent from non-traditional backgrounds. So we're working with a lot of students that, maybe don't have an official degree or certification. And we're helping them to figure out how to kind of stop that endless cycle of, I have the education that I need in order to enter into this field, but I don't have the hands-on experience. And I don't know how to get that hands-on experience if no one will hire me in order for me to get that experience. And so what we've done is we've created this program that allows software companies throughout the state to bring on a fellowship participant who will spend 3 days a week with them working and providing value to their team, but also getting the experience needed to, work on a team and to have that experience working for a software company. And then we're sandwiching that with classroom days where we're just continuing their education and providing them with exposure to any number of ways and directions that they can take their career once they complete this 6-month fellowship program. So we're starting in January, our first pilot program, and we have 6 employer hosts already committed. And so we're hoping to get about 12 fellowship participants through the next 6 months.
Thanks, Kaity. Kirsten, I know you have a lot going on as well. Can you tell us what's happening at Apprenticeship Carolina?
Absolutely. Thank you so much again for inviting us to be a part of this panel. I'm really excited to talk to this group. You may or may not know about Apprenticeship Carolina, but we are a state agency charged with leading the state of South Carolina in all things registered apprenticeship. We have a 20+ person staff and several grants and resources to provide no-cost consulting on workforce development through registered apprenticeship development for any South Carolina employer. It doesn't matter the size or the industry. We do have regionally based consultants that work one-on-one with a company to customize an apprenticeship training program to fit their specific workforce needs. No program is alike, and they're very flexible workforce development tools. Essentially, it's a company-owned training plan that helps someone go from little to no previous skill or knowledge to 100% proficient in a particular occupation. Although this is something that you can use to upskill current staff that may already have some experience, or use it as a pipeline builder for those that don't have the previous experience. Although there is an existing framework, it is completely customizable and it's based on the company. The framework consists of 3 things. It's the work processes or competencies, job-related education that can be on the job or with an external education provider, and a wage progression. We have in South Carolina almost 1,200 employers that are utilizing this model in several different industries, including IT and cybersecurity. We have representatives actually on the panel today from 2 companies with very different training models for software engineering and cybersecurity. And some employers we find are using apprenticeships to take that green youth and develop either an IT generalist, or others are hiring current college students or career changers and training them in maybe systems administration or IT project management while they're on the job. So love to talk more individually with individuals if that's something that, because everything is very customized, it's something that you may have your interest piqued. Thank you.
Thanks so much. What a great overview. Rodney, you have the first ever cybersecurity apprenticeship program. Can you tell us about it?
Sure, happy to. So when I started the company, me and my wife realized we were having a hard time finding cybersecurity analysts in all other areas of cybersecurity. So we decided to start a program, and it was through Apprenticeship Carolina that really helped us get it set up. Kristen's been great. Kristen's been great working with us and getting things set up. So this program, we started working in high schools, and normally we focus on the underserved high schools like North Charleston High, Stall, and also foster care home aging out. We bring those kids in and we're helping to build them up, but also, you know, help build workforce for ourselves. And it's just been a wonderful program that's worked for us. We want to continue to see it grow. We have visions for other ways. I mean, we've been 3 years now at this program, and it's just been in the high school and Trident Tech. We're working with them also. And that's really been working well. 2 years of high school, 2 years of technical school. And so we're starting to look out now. So when they finish their tech school or associate's degree, going to a 4-year university and still working an apprenticeship program while doing that. So our whole plan is to have apprenticeship from high school to university level. So they'll graduate with a bachelor's degree, 6 years of hands-on training, and then certifications throughout. So these kids, young adults, will be ready to walk right into the marketplace afterwards, just ready to work for us. And we're looking to specialize in certain areas of cybersecurity or whatever. We found out that these young high school kids in these underserved schools are really green slate or blank slate when they come to us. And so that's been a challenge. We had to back up and do some basic training in IT, which we're going to start a IT generalist course to start off our 2-year apprenticeship program, and then go into cybersecurity support technician, and then the last one will be a cybersecurity technician. We have the school section, and then we have the in-house training program. So we have some students that came to us and said, look, I failed out of school. I can't get back into college right now. I can't get funding. So how can you help us there? So we're, training these kids in-house. So when they get done, they will have a Department of Labor certificate saying they know cybersecurity, plus the certifications we help them get from industry. So at least that'll get their foot in the door without the college education, or at least that's our plan. So, but happy to be a part. I'm open to any questions. Anybody that's wanting to start an apprenticeship program, we're here to, especially for IT, we're here to coach and cheerlead you.
Thank you, Rodney. You're also touching such an important segment of underserved youth. Stan, you got some great news with your press release recently, and Create Opportunities making strides. Can you tell us all about it?
Absolutely. Hey, Kim, thanks for having us today. And hello, everyone. Create Opportunity Columbia is an initiative that increases the supply of high demand software engineers. And we do that through a screening, training, and apprenticeship model that's designed for people from diverse non-technical backgrounds, those hidden gems that are around our community. Basically, Create Opportunity believes that talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not always available to these folks. You could also think of it as a workforce development and diversity initiative that we developed in collaboration with Midlands Tech and our software partner, Kaity. So the way it works is we recruit talent, many from non-technical backgrounds, as I mentioned. We screen them through a 90-minute online assessment, and then we train participants at Midlands Tech through an intensive 40-hour-a-week program that lasts about 6 months. The participants are then placed into a 2-year paid apprenticeship with full benefits with a local employer. And, we're looking for that talent, as I mentioned, from both technical and non-technical and a lot of non-traditional backgrounds. We launched the pilot at Midlands Tech last February, and we already have 4 apprentices that are gainfully employed at Nephron Pharmaceuticals, Diesel Laptops, and Cyberwoven, and with others soon to be placed at Colonial Life. And Colonial Life just made a very generous donation to the program to help us, ramp it up, scale it, and really support that workforce around the Midlands area. We're launching our second program at Central Piedmont Community College in Charlotte this March. And our partner, Kaity, which is headquartered in Baltimore, they have 6 offices around the country. They've trained more than 1,000 engineers for over a decade with this proven model. And Create Opportunity is excited to take the same model and apply it in South Carolina and grow the local tech workforce. So that's where we are. Happy to share more.
Thank you. Well, I feel certain that we will get some more as we start to toss around these questions. One theme that was discussed by all of you was reaching into communities that haven't been technically, predispositioned, right? They haven't necessarily been learners who identified a technical career off the bat, or they are people who have the raw skills but maybe haven't had access to a program like these that we're discussing today. So Kaity, I'm going to ask you, what kinds of learners are we seeing that are signing up for work-based learning and apprenticeship programs?
Yeah, thanks, Kim. I love this question because it really is such an important piece of why these programs are so important. And so speaking from an SC Codes and Developed Carolina perspective, we're seeing a very diverse, both in educational background and in age and race and gender so far with the applications that we've received. And it's very encouraging to see folks who maybe they have a 2 or 4 year degree, maybe they are self-taught, and because they couldn't maybe afford or have the opportunity to go and pursue a 2 or 4 year degree, or maybe they've gotten a few certifications here or there. And we'll take them all. And so I think that's one of the biggest kind of benefits to apprenticeship and fellowship programs, is that for those folks who may have missed out, whether it be on furthering their education, or maybe they realized kind of too late in the process that this is what they wanted to do, this gives them an opportunity to still make that happen for them. So to still enter into the tech workforce. And so, these are folks who have, like I said, they have the skills and the training, or the education. My apologies, not the training yet. We're working on that, but they have the education. But they are, again, just kind of hitting up against those walls when it comes to actually getting their foot in the door for that first software development role. And so it is like I said, a myriad of backgrounds that we are seeing, but it has been very, very encouraging to see that the applicant pool is really, it's, single moms. It is, folks who are, now in their 40s and they miss their opportunity, but they know it's not too late to get into this field. And so to be able to create a program that can kind of catch all of those folks who are talented and brilliant, and instead of saying, oh, you don't have the time or the money, so we can't accept you into this program, or or any number of other barriers that exist out there. And so it's just very exciting and really awesome to see. We kind of assumed that this would be the applicant pool and assumed that this would be the type of applicants that applied for a program like this. And it is absolutely coming true. And it's even more diverse and more exciting than we thought. And so there's some beautiful stories that I can't wait to share once we get this program kicked off.
That's great. How about anybody else? Since all of your programs differ a bit, I'd be interested to hear what the rest of you are seeing in the types of learners signing up.
Yeah, Kim, this is Rodney. So I agree everything that Kaity has said. We see the same thing, just young students to mid-level career. I mean, we have a waiting list of probably 20 people right now wanting to get into our program. We just don't have room for them, but it's all over the place. It's hands-on learners, those that don't do well in school. And then we have the school folks that come in and do it. So it's really all over the place for us.
Kim, in our case, at Create Opportunity, it's an array of people who were teachers, truck drivers. We've had custodians, fast food workers, and even a retired college professor who came back and wanted to be a coder and went through the Kaity program. One fun thing we discovered recently is we surveyed everybody to find out how they heard about the program, and the number one referral for over half the students was their mother. So go moms, so that's a great way we've been able to reach people through, because we've worked with Goodwill and the library system and Richland County School District, but a lot of the mothers are paying attention to help their kids who may be young or not so young, find new opportunities.
As a mother myself, I can completely relate. So that's great. So what type of skills then should employers be expecting from an apprentice when they come into an apprenticeship? Stan, I'll let you keep going with this, because as you get all these people from diverse backgrounds that are learning newly, some of them, what is it that they're bringing in? What kind of skills are they bringing in?
So, we've figured out that to pass our screening, it typically requires a 10th grade literacy and numeracy level, at least, and then a GED, and all the students are at least 18 years of age. And so they take our screening assessment online. It takes about 90 minutes, and between 14 and 17%, about 15% on average, pass that screening. So that's very important, because the employers know that these are folks that have the aptitude even before they begin the training. Once in the program, after 6 months, they're junior level full stack software engineers. However, with the caveat that many of them have not been formally taught soft skills or how to adapt to a new work environment, particularly one that may be in software development. And so, we, with Kaity, our software partner, we anticipated this, and we've created a software platform called Journey Navigator. And it's a type of accountability system where the employer has the ability to track and, monitor the progress of that engineer. Also, we can keep up with how they're doing, make sure that they have that support they need. We have regular check-ins with them through other employees at Create Opportunity, and Midlands Tech provides the wraparound services to the participant throughout that journey. So we're trying to support them at every level, remove those barriers, and make sure that a solid junior level engineer is ready for that employer.
I'd also like to respond to that as well, Kim. Create Opportunity is actually a part of, or we deem it as a pre-apprenticeship, to really help with those who may need a little bit additional support system, as Gray has mentioned, to be successful in an apprenticeship program. But with registered apprenticeships, we typically intend and build a program out for someone to go from 0 skill to 100% proficient. Yes, people may come in at different levels, but we build the program this way so that it really helps kind of think through all the different things that will be needed in order to help someone essentially that maybe just has the right attitude and the interest. You give them all the tools they need to become the successful talent and add value to the company's needs. When setting up a registered apprenticeship program, the employer sets the criteria for hire. So you can still have the application, interview, selection process that is no input from Department of Labor or Apprenticeship Carolina from that standpoint. And because we build the program from, again, I keep saying the 0 to 100, employers are able to put their current employees through an apprenticeship to upskill them. So maybe someone is already successful in one layer, that's something that they don't know anything about that next level of technology. You can continue to grow their skills and value to the company. In the Midlands, where employers are seeing the most value with apprenticeships right now for recruiting is by building those career ladders, as well as several other parts of the state, but I work specifically in the Midlands. And what we're kind of helping employers see is you're not advertising this for a one entry-level role, you're advertising this for a career progression plan. I'm currently in the process of working with one IT company who is building out 5 levels, with each being an apprenticeship. So it ensures a pipeline of talent is being attractive to those new candidates, as well as extending the retention, which within South Carolina, Apprenticeship Carolina did a return on investment study, and there's already a positive return on investment. And on average in South Carolina, employers are seeing talent retained over 3 years longer once they finish their program than if they never went through a program at all. So it's really good for companies to kind of ensure they don't lose that talent that is looking for opportunities to progress.
And Kim, if I may also,
Of course.
just because we're, I think Developed Carolina is positioned a little differently than a lot of these programs that are on the call. And so we get them after they already have the training. So I think that was just an important clarification as far as like our program specifically. And so we are taking them essentially from education to career, but we don't really focus on the education piece necessarily. SC Codes is there, and we hope folks will use SC Codes to gain those skills. But we want to, take students from no matter where they learned, we're here to take them and hopefully bridge that gap between the education that they have and the skills that they have. So they're coming into, their employer host's workplace, and they are already able to provide value as far as writing code and working as part of a team. And so we really focus throughout our 6-month program on giving them, we have an amazing program called Engineer Kit that all of our fellowship participants will be going through throughout the 6 months. And there's 15 different modules on just different pieces of the software development lifecycle. So there is that education piece throughout, but we are expecting the folks who are participating to have a base level understanding of coding and a level of proficiency so they can immediately begin working. And we're, narrowing those down through several step application and interview process, both technical and non-technical. So, and then of course, creating that professional and personal development in it as well, because we do know that that is a vital piece, and employers are always telling us, like, we can teach them tech, but we can't teach them how to communicate or how to work well on a team. And so we're trying to also approach it from that side to help where there may be some lack of skills. And we're kind of when we're identifying those at the very beginning via self-assessment and verification interviews, lots of cool pieces to say, this is where they're strong, this is where they're weak. How can we step in where they're weak and provide them with whatever it is that they need to be successful?
I guess I'll jump in also.
Sure thing, Rodney.
So our program was really self-serving, apprenticeship was for ourselves. It wasn't intended to take elsewhere. However, since we started this journey and we found the same thing, that students not only need the technical, but the soft skills. So we included that into our program, financial literacy, because they need security clearances when they get down the road, and how to communicate when cybersecurity, you got to speak to C-suite and all that. So, we had to bring them in for that. So we built the program for ourselves, how we're going to do it. But now we're wanting to take what we learned and work with other organizations to roll this model out. And we realize there needs to be a baseline where companies will be ready to sign up. And right now, the students we're getting in they are a blank slate, and we got to build them up. So I got a model I'm looking at right now, trying to implement that, in a short time, I would be able to get these folks up to that minimum stage and then farm them out to other organizations. So that's something I'm working on. We've been working with Department of Labor and SC Commerce with some of these ideas to grow this program.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you. I think one thing that's notable here as I'm listening to you all describe what's offered is there's really a runway here for people in pretty much every phase of learning and onboarding to a career in technology. We have opportunities here for high school students, for people who are retooling and want to change careers. We have opportunities for students who are already in a 2 or 4 year school. And then we have opportunity for students that have maybe gone through and gotten an education in a code school or self-taught, or even a 2 or 4 year institution, but haven't already started working. And I think that's pretty remarkable, because in the technology industry, we have, again, this deficit in the employee talent pool. And so in South Carolina, we have all of these wonderful ways that people can transition or move into a career in technology. So I really love it. I really love, that you all are sharing all these opportunities with our technology ecosystem. And so if a company wanted to take on a student, an apprentice, Kirsten, what kind of help is available in South Carolina for companies who feel like maybe they don't have the internal bandwidth or the right mentors for an apprentice, or maybe even the people in place to deal with the paperwork and that sort of thing? What do we have here to help with that?
Yes, thanks. That's a really good question. And I'll say there are a lot of myths out there right now about registered apprenticeship, about the paperwork and such. Yes, there's a paperwork piece of it, but Apprenticeship Carolina takes care of all of that. And really, it's just putting that kind of like, I'm not an IT person, but I would look at it as a coding, like it's a framework that you can utilize and tweak to make work to be able to build what you're trying to build, which in this case is talent. So here in South Carolina, we are fortunate to have Apprenticeship Carolina. It's a free service to any South Carolina employer. We work with several different partners as well. Apprenticeship works really well with several of the different programs that have been talked about today, that many other states just don't have Apprenticeship Carolina, or it comes at a pretty high cost. So our team helps in the initial development and planning for this program. The program is owned by the company, but Apprenticeship Carolina helps in creating what that program can look like so that it is going to be successful, because we've worked with several different companies and several different people who have really found the best practices when it comes to registered apprenticeship. We also help within the implementation piece as well, once the program is officially registered with the Department of Labor, if the employer would like assistance. And so when I say registered, I do mean it's registered with the Department of Labor, which just opens up a company up to several different benefits. Having that program, there's a state tax credit. So South Carolina supports employers that are in the fact that you do understand that you're taking someone and you're having to upskill them. They're not necessarily already proficient available in the state. So they provide a state tax credit, as well as there's access to scholarship for training funds. So when you outsource the education training, that doesn't pull on your mentors as much, as well as it helps in kind of spiking that learning curve for an individual. So even though they're coming in with little to no previous experience, both the education and hands-on at the same time really spikes their learning curve, and they end up becoming, what we've found from employers, a lot more productive. And it's really great from a succession planning as well, because you have that mentor identify that you are already an expert. They have a teaching spirit in your agency already. I will tell you, there have been some concerns around, like, okay, well, what exactly does our mentor do? So Apprenticeship Carolina does offer no cost online and in-person mentor training to help anybody on your staff that is going to be interacting with an apprentice feel more comfortable and how to make that situation the best it can be. As well as when we help you set the programs up, we're going to ensure success in utilizing it. So we've found that a lot of companies, they may already be doing apprenticeship. When I explain what it is, it's just not formalized. So most often what we do is we change very little in what a company is already doing, but when we formalize it, it does create that structure so that it's more intentional in the talent training and increased support. So there's a support system in the implementation of it as well from that standpoint.
Awesome. And Kim, I'll hop in again if that's okay.
Of course.
Awesome. So we kind of do, I mean, I think it's amazing that Apprenticeship Carolina exists, and it's so, I feel like very, very underutilized in the state. So I'm hoping that this will encourage more and more folks to join in those types of programs. So from a Develop Carolina perspective, as far as like what's available for South Carolina companies, is that, yes, we created Develop Carolina for learners and for students and grads who needed that extra help to get into the career. But we also really created it to lower the barriers for companies as well. And so, and a lot of it does, I'm sure it's still that misconception as far as it maybe Apprenticeship Carolina feels scarier than it is. And so luckily we're re-educating hopefully lots of folks on Apprenticeship Carolina. But additionally, like a lot of the feedback we received was that the smaller companies are the ones that really struggle with being able to join an apprenticeship program. And so we tried to create a program that works for small and large companies. And so we offer a complete, blueprint for the program. We do mentor training like Apprenticeship Carolina does. We're actually started it yesterday for our first cohort. So each employer that signs on to be a host designates at least one, ideally two mentors internally for each fellowship participant that they want to take on. And we are taking them all through virtual training for 4 hours a week for 4 weeks in preparation for our cohort kickoff in January. And we really focus on, coaching best practices, how to be a good mentor. And we've positioned it so that employers feel like this is professional and continued education and professional development, so that they can then take what they've learned through us and what they've learned through the mentor training and take it back to their companies and implement it for themselves if they want to. We're happy to continue doing all of that heavy lifting as far as finding them great candidates and ensuring that we're in constant communication. So there's this greater chance of success. But another piece to that is that we've also created a very low cost barrier of entry. And so each of our fellows receive a $10,000 stipend paid by the employer host company for the 6 months. And we chose that $10,000 amount simply because we wanted it to be attainable and easy for smaller, maybe more innovative companies to be able to participate and foster this next generation of talent.
And Kim, as Kirsten mentioned, we work closely with Apprenticeship Carolina and have had a lot of great success there in matching that with our program. Create Opportunity also has a platform that's, it's already fully developed. It's turnkey, called Journey Navigator. And so that's something that immediately the employer can use, lock in and track the progress of the apprentice. It does involve soft skills and, some basic metrics. It's very easy for them to use. It only takes about 45 minutes to an hour and a half a week, to really log on there and monitor that. And so we've had a lot of success there, and we want to make sure we have those tools in place and partner with Apprenticeship Carolina and other groups that provide those wraparound services. Goodwill also provides mentorship and career counselors that work in lockstep with us and help, kind of transition that participant into the apprenticeship role into the workforce.
This is great. I think that a lot of the arguments or the reasons why companies have been unable to take on apprentices or work-based learning students really have been answered in this webinar. But unfortunately, nationally, only 1% of apprenticeships are with technology companies. Rodney, as a business owner yourself who is taking on this role of training apprentices, can you talk about why technology companies should embrace apprenticeship programs and these on-the-job training options?
Of course. So one of the things that I see is, one, it's a paradigm shift, because IT has always been, you got to go to college and get your computer science degree before you can work in the community. But I'll use myself as an example. Going into the military, no degree or anything, a high school diploma, and I just played with computers and really enjoyed them. And I got the opportunity to change to a career field in the military, switched over, and they did a basic apprenticeship program. I did a 6-week school that gave me the basics, and I was sent to a base that just did hands-on with a mentor. And that's how I got trained. And so, just through the years, certifications I took on the sides. So I think I am very qualified to do the work, but I've never been to a 4-year university for a computer science degree. And but I think that's the problem, is just companies are just looking at that mindset of you have to have a degree. And then in government contracting, they almost force you to have a degree, unless you go fight with the government contracting officer saying this person's just as trained as the guy with the degree, and you got to fight to get them in there. And sometimes they don't want to do that work. I mean, there's a lot of those mindsets and things that are hindering this. And I think what we're doing now, educating, building pilot programs, and showing that it works, and just the campaign of communicating with these companies to bring them along, make it easier for them to come along. I have talked to a couple companies who have the misconception of, like Kirsten said, oh, the paperwork's too much or this or that. So I'm looking into an idea of, doing all the paper hosting and then, staffing for companies as apprentice, especially on government contracts. So I mean, there's a lot out there that we need to do, but and we got to convince these companies too that you can give specific training to your exact needs instead of general training that they get with just a general computer science degree, and then it's at a reduced cost, because you're hiring them in at a cheaper rate because you're training them up, instead of hiring someone out of college that's expecting to get those high pay rates. That's just a few, ideas I see in this. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about here and unpack on why technology companies just don't get involved.
I think a lot of it, from what I've seen too, is that because there's such a large deficit of tech talent, that employers are constantly having to be reactive as far in their hiring and in their talent search versus proactive. And I think that that's just a hard shift to stop, take a step back and say, what can we do to encourage and increase our long-term pipeline versus I need this seat filled right now and I need to find somebody and I don't care, where they are, I've got to get them in here now. And so I think that kind of goes very hand in hand with what Rodney said, is just that paradigm shift and that mindset shift. And I am seeing, luckily, that more and more companies are not requiring a 2 or 4 year degree. And so I think that will just continue to grow as people and employers see that there is value in these folks who aren't necessarily degree holders or certificate holders, but they have the skills and they know, they can build amazing things. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest hurdles. I don't know the answer to that other than having those conversations with companies who are constantly lamenting their struggles with hiring, but yet aren't taking that step to actually put some action and some momentum behind these types of initiatives and apprenticeship programs, fellowship programs that are, and like Rodney said, much cheaper as far as talent goes. And now we're competing with West Coast companies as a state with the remote workforce, the increase due to COVID. It's going to be even more difficult to get talent to be able to afford talent in our state. And so the more we can do with junior and entry-level talent, the better we are going to be in the long term, and the easier it will be to get that great talent and then mold them into what you need them or want them to be, or what our state needs.
Yeah, let me jump back into one thought I have is the government contracting world, which I do a lot in. And so they are users of I want to say of the staff, and they do just in time staffing. They win a contract, they go hire, they put them on the contract. When they're done in 2-4 years, they end up letting them go because they don't have nowhere else to put them. And so they don't want to invest this time in an apprenticeship in 2 years and then turn them back loose to the wild. And that's another mind shift. It helps everybody if everybody would do it, but they don't want it. I mean, they're looking at bottom lines and they don't want to do it. And that's one thing I've seen with government contracting staffing.
Yeah, I think that Rodney and Kaity have both made very strong points that we've noticed as well, in terms of there is some fluidity now around accepting a person who hasn't had a 2 or 4 year degree. That's starting to loosen up with HR departments, and we have a lot of conversations around that. And the demand that Kaity mentioned is enormous. So a lot of employers simply aren't having the luxury of the choice of being as picky if they want to hire software engineers, because we could place 100 a week and not come close to meeting the demand in South Carolina alone. I think everybody here in the Zoom box, could do that, and we would need more and more. So that's fantastic. Then there's also some differentiation about what apprenticeship model we're talking about. Is it a person who's entering the program that hasn't been educated yet or hasn't received the skills, been through a program, and they're onboarding and learning on the job? Or is it a person that's been trained, with a specific skill set, then they're placed in the apprenticeship? And then to touch on Rodney's, last point there, a lot of the one nice thing about Create Opportunity that we've noticed and learned is that when we train someone locally through the workforce, they're more likely to stay in town. They're already embedded there. They have their friends and family. They're not as likely to jump from job to job. We've noticed the retention can be 4 to 5 years and up, which is fairly high as a person improves their skill set as a software engineer, junior level, senior level. But whereas if we recruit them from outside of the state and other places, they're more likely to jump into another opportunity somewhere else. And so this, what all of us are doing here today in this program is really trying to upskill South Carolina and find that hidden talent and give them those opportunities.
I'll just real briefly, I know we're hitting up on time, Kim, But one of the things that when we're having conversations with employers, we challenge them, like, this is your opportunity to be innovative. Like Kaity said, you're hitting all the walls. Let us, and then the thing with, I think that scares people about registered apprenticeship is you feel like it's just one model and I have to fit my company to that model, but it's not. It's completely, we start from scratch, we figure out what the particular company's different nuances and needs are, and then we create and customize it. And so that's why I talked with Kim several times, it's almost like if you give me an opportunity, I can bust some myths when it comes to that particular thing. So I just challenge, if you're hitting a wall or you think you're about to hit a wall, just to have a conversation with it. If it's not a fit, then that's not a fit. But this is something that you see with all of the people that are on this call today, that we really want to support the IT companies, employers, and IT talent in South Carolina.
So many great points. I just want to mention again, Stanfield, you talking about the retention rate. And I want to also throw in there that not only is it the retention rate in South Carolina, it's also the building up and supporting of our entire ecosystem in South Carolina, because programs like this give opportunities to residents of our state who, again, maybe did not have these opportunities before. And so we're looking at the potential of building up rural areas, areas that, maybe don't have access in their educational system at this time for these types of learning programs. And it's just good economic sense for South Carolina and South Carolina companies to invest in these types of programs. And we are coming up on the end of our hour, but I wanted to give an opportunity for any questions from our audience, and then last remarks from you all. So Adrian, did we have any questions? I'm not seeing anyone, but if anyone does have a question, please enter it in the chat box and we will be happy to pose it to our panel here. And if we don't, then I'm gonna let you each have a minute to close in any last remarks that you'd like to share.
Awesome. I'll jump in. I just want to say how encouraging and how awesome it is to see that amongst all of these folks and all of these programs we have represented on the call today, that we have programs in this state that meet learners and employers where they are. And so I think that it's just going to continue to take that education and that removing those myths, as Kirsten mentioned, around these types of programs. But it is definitely very encouraging. And this isn't this is a problem that has no easy solution and no end in sight. And so it's time that we as a state and as employers really start stepping up and providing our future when it comes to tech talent for many years down the road. So thank you so much for having me on the panel. It was lovely to hear from everyone.
Thanks, Kaity. And I'm going to let each of you still give your response, but we did have a question come in from Jana Watson, and she asked, is there any apprenticeship opportunities for those without a GED?
So with our program, I mean, we don't look at that as a requirement. It's ability, and ours is just trying to help kids, get a well-paying job and career, and that's what we started out as a cybersecurity company, and our passion has now turned us to, we're passionate about the apprenticeship program, and really our cyber company is second to that, and we are trying to grow this into the community and just build people up and pull them up and help them have a better career.
Yeah, and the same with ours, with the Create Opportunity. So I can answer Jenna's question and wrap up real quick. But thank you, Kim, so much for welcoming Create Opportunity today. I'll share my screen just for 1 second and show this to Jenna. So if anybody's interested in applying and taking our screening, it's available at createop.com. And here we go, full screen mode. And no degree or experience is required. So, please get in touch with us, info@createop.com. Visit createop.com and take the screening today. It's free to you. If you'd like to pursue an apprenticeship and find out about all these good things, reach out to us and we're happy to provide more information. So thank you.
Thanks so much. And Adrian just mentioned in chat, we will share all of these resources as a follow-up as well after the webinar completes. So everybody will get a copy of the flyers from all the participating programs. And Kirsten, I'm gonna let you take it home.
Yeah, so I do appreciate the opportunity to be on this panel, as I mentioned before. One of the things I really kind of drive home is that a registered apprenticeship is completely customizable. It works very well with any and all of the programs that were talked about here because it is a program that is owned by the company. So you set the criteria as far as entry level, you set the criteria as far as education that's important and occupation competencies as well. We just help you in formalizing it and ensure that any resources that you need, whether it be what Develop Carolina has or whether it's what Create Opportunity has, we are neutral when it comes to that piece. We just want to make sure that the employer is successful in however they get the talent they need. So I appreciate that and just open to a conversation at some point. Thank you.
Thanks. Everybody, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate all of your time, and we're wrapping up just at 2 minutes under. So again, we will share all of this information with everyone who registered for the webinar, and really looking forward to seeing how we build apprenticeships and work-based learning opportunities in South Carolina. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.